On March 12, 2020, the United States realized COVID-19 was serious and implemented social distancing to slow the spread of the virus. We had been planning this trip since October and figured backcountry skiing was the best way to avoid contact with others. Last year we visited Bear Claw Yurt, but this year wanted to try something a bit more adventurous, and so we headed to Boundary Creek, 6.5 miles from the trailhead, instead of Bear Claw's leisurely 2. We parked at the trailhead and put our climbing skins on the skis, as it is slightly uphill most of the way. The bridge early in the trail brought back memories of our previous trip. Last year, we used a couple of inexpensive children's sleds pulled with a rope. It didn't take long for us to get run over by the sleds on some downhill sections. This year, we opted to build 2 pulk sleds with rigid pull bars to keep the sleds in control behind us. Having 2 sleds for 3 people allowed one of us to get a 30-minute break at the end of every hour. There are multiple ways to get to Boundary Creek. Online advice suggested taking Dead Man's Traverse after the Lily Lake Yurt, and so we did. This taught us to never take a trail with dead men in the name. It added a lot of difficult uphill sections and narrow parts with dangerous drop-offs. When it came time to return home, we used Ridge and Wolverine trails, saving ourselves a lot of time. Once past the Ridge Trail, the path narrows significantly and you hope the person who set the skin tracks knew what they were doing. The permit display holder for Boundary Creek is about 2 miles from the actual yurt. This surprised us as we knew we still had a ways to go. Getting to the yurt took longer than expected and made for a very late dinner. We were happy to get in before sunset though, as we had read stories of people trying to find their way in the dark. We found the yurt to be warm and comfortable, with most of the same amenities found at Bear Claw last year. We also found the outhouse to be just as cold and malodorous. After a night's rest where nobody slept well but we ate a good breakfast, we started climbing the mountain just east of the yurt. In backcountry skiing, you need to enjoy the hike up as it takes roughly 1 hour of climbing for 4 minutes of skiing. Coming down is the easy part. While we could not use our phones at the yurt, they worked great near the top of the mountain. We made sure to call home and let everyone know we were safe. From the top of the mountain, you can see all the way to Wyoming. We didn't have nearly as many trees to navigate this year as we did at Bear Claw. We also had steeper and longer runs. The fresh snow made a nice gift for our trip down the mountain. After a morning of skiing, we took a break for lunch at the yurt. Spending time at the yurt requires doing several chores. The weather held long enough for us to chop wood, replacing what we used, and give a bit more for the group behind us. Funny as it may seem, splitting wood is one of the activities my youngest son looked most forward to while planning the trip. Having the extra wood helped keep the yurt comfortable. While it snowed lightly in the morning, it picked up in the afternoon. It is fun to watch it snow, but is more enjoyable from inside the warmth of the yurt. We ended the day with a large pot of beef stew cooked on the propane stove. Sunsets in the mountains are always amazing. After 2 nights, we had to say goodbye to our sturdy yurt. The hike out required breaking trail in the new snow. The trail is well marked with blue diamonds high on the trees for when the ski path is completely covered. While it is mostly downhill on the way out, there are some sections we had to hike. This became more difficult after we removed our climbing skins. We also had a few obstacles to get past. Fortunately, for most of the hike out, we just let gravity do the work. Sometimes we didn't go very fast and had to occasionally use our poles, but it sure went faster than the climb in.